I want to do a short follow-up to the previous video, again on the topic of eating a low-carb diet, no pasta, potatoes, rice, bread, desserts, cookies, cakes, candies, none of it. So I primarily, for the last, going on a year and a half, it's a good year and a quarter, have been eating a lot of meat. I'll eat any kind of meat, lots of salad, lots of vegetables, most vegetables, and I'm even eating in restaurants. People often complain, why, how can I lose weight? I have to eat in restaurants. Well, as a truck driver, I'm eating out the vast majority of the time. And, and then you hear the excuse, well, I'm old, my metabolism slowed down. Well, no, that's not true. I'm 65 years old. I used to think that. I thought, oh, my metabolism slowed down. That's not true. What slows down generally is people's ability to deal with the carbohydrates. In fact, it's a carbohydrate overload. The dose makes the poison. A few carbohydrates are fine, but our diet for the last, my entire life has consisted of too many carbohydrates. Like I say, I'm 65 years old at this point. But I've been accused of being kind of fixated on a low-carb diet. I, like to talk about it too much. And let me give you a little background. My entire life the vast majority of it has been spent overweight. When I was 4 months old, my parents tell me that I weighed 25 pounds. So I was 4 months old, I weighed 25 pounds. They took turns carrying me. If they were walking down the street, one of them would carry me one block, and then the next, they'd switch and then go to the other one. They'd switch back and forth at each block because I was just so heavy. When I was in second grade, I weighed, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, 113 pounds. So even in second grade, I was probably 30 to 40 pounds overweight, which is incredible. And, I thought all of this time, up until I went on this low-carb diet, all of this time I thought, well, I just don't have any control. I just can't seem to control what I eat. And it turns out that's not true. It wasn't how much I was eating, it was what I was eating. And what I was eating was poison. Plain and simple. The amount of it was a poison, and that's what caused me to be overweight. At one point, back around 2001, I actually got all the way up to 225 pounds. At this point, I'm down to 148, and my weight is pretty well stable. In fact, I may be still losing slightly as the months go by. The set point might be drifting down a little bit, but it's pretty stable, and and I'm not eating any less. I'm eating just as much as I did prior to this. The difference is I'm not eating the carbohydrates. No more pasta, potatoes, rice, or bread. Because, now at one point when I weighed 225, I was in this work situation where there were all these cookies and candies and cakes around, and I was kind of pigging out on them, plus eating my regular meals, and that's how I got up to 225. After I quit that job, I went back to driving the truck. The cakes and cookies and candies were no longer around, and I lost 40 pounds without even trying, so my weight dropped down to about 185, even though I was still eating pasta, potatoes, rice, and bread. Now, and that stayed at 185 for quite a few years until I started this low-carb diet in December, about December the 6th of 2018 is when I started this. And my weight has gone down to 148 as of right now. That's what I weigh, is 148, and that's just amazing. And but again, it's not the lie that everybody believes that it's you gain weight as you age because your metabolism slows down. That is not true. Your body generally loses the ability to cope with all the extra carbohydrates. That's what deteriorates over time. And that's generally why people are gaining a few pounds every year, like I used to. And so that's why I'm passionate about it. I spent most of my entire life with varying degrees of overweight. And now I realize, in the past year and a quarter, I realized that was completely unnecessary. And I spent all those years thinking, well, I just can't control my appetite. I can't control what I eat. It must be something, it must be me. There's something wrong with me. And in fact, it was what I was eating. And just because everybody thinks that it's normal to eat pasta, potatoes, rice, and bread doesn't make it right. You want to follow the lemmings over the cliff. So the pasta, potatoes, rice, and bread are what are killing you. If you've got a weight problem, as most Americans seem to have, and I've gotten to the point now where I just look at people and I can say, oops, I can tell what they're eating. Because you see the pudgy stuff, to varying degrees, they're fat. And it's because of what they're eating. And that's it, plain and simple. So, I'm passionate about this because I spent my entire life being overweight. Like at one point, 80 pounds overweight. And it was completely unnecessary had I had the right information and been able to act on that right information like I am now. And that applies to you too. So there you go. A lot of people say, they tell me, because I tell people about this diet all the time now, and they say, oh, well, I can't give up my pasta, I can't give up my potatoes, I can't give up my rice, I can't give up my bread. Well, then you're going to suffer. But actually, you can give it up, because if I found that, I would eat pasta all the time. But I found that once I changed my diet, my appetite for the pasta in particular is gone. You can put any of that stuff right in front of me, and I'm not even tempted by it at all. My tastes have changed, and I think that many people will find that if they just try this diet, try cutting out pasta, potatoes, rice, and bread, that you give it a couple of weeks and your taste will likely change.